Hello, howdy. Howdy. Welcome, everybody. It is wonderful to see you all. We have some space up front. We don't bite too much. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Maya Andreasen, and I'm faculty here in PVFA. And today we are joined by Dave Maldonado. So Dave is an actor. He has over 25 years of experience working in film, working in theater, and in television. He's done a wide range of work, including horror, drama, science fiction, some comedy, true crime, and detective series.
Wow.
I know. I've done a lot. And he's worked alongside actors and director heavyweights, including Michael B. Jordan, the director Ryan Coogler, actors Matthew McConaughey, John Malkovich, Nicole Kidman, Chris Pratt, Sylvester Stallone, Kurt Russell, as well as director M. Night Shyamalan, just to name a few. Yeah. Just a few. I know. Impressive resume. Work that Dave is known for are movies including The Tomorrow War, The Fifth Wave, TV shows like Queen Sugar, The Purge, Reservation Dogs, Homeland 24 Legacy, From Dusk Till Dawn, the series, Tulsa King, and True Detective. Oh, you got a fan over here. So his most recent film, Sinners, has gained international and national recognition and accolades for its deep dive into complicated themes such as colonization, segregation, family expectations, trauma, race, culture, and the blues, while cleverly weaving in stories and myths of numerous cultures. Welcome to Texas A&M, Dave.
Thank
we are
you for having
very
me.
happy to have you here today. So first question I want to ask is, you've been living and working in Texas for quite some time, but I read that you grew up in Cajun country in Louisiana.
I did, yeah.
What got you interested in acting while growing up, and when did you realize that you wanted to be an actor?
Well, I wasn't interested at all growing up. I was an artist growing up. How many artists, like visual artists and film performance people? That's very balanced. I had both sides. I was always drawing, always had a sketchbook. Anytime I had downtime, I was drawing or, out playing like we did when we were kids. And, I always took art classes every summer throughout school. But when I was a kid, I was in elementary school and I was terrible in school, just struggled all the way through. But my brother, I have a fraternal twin brother, and he was much smarter than I was, kind of an underachiever, but didn't have to work as hard for all these things. And he was in the gifted and talented program in elementary school. And what was really cool is every year they would do a skit. And they would come down the hall and they would take me out of my regular class and take me to go. It's like, oh, we got to go get my brother to go do this skit. And that was just so exciting because I was able to be a part of that with all these gifted and talented students. And when we would do that skit, I just felt like I felt at home. I felt like, it was my wheelhouse. And it was always so much fun. And I kind of got it. I got performance. But at that time, that wasn't something you could do. Hollywood was a million miles away. So it wasn't something that was a conceivable concept for a dream to have. And I was an artist, so I'm like, all right, well, that's what I'll do. I'll major in art. All through high school. We did do the musical production in high school with my wife, which she's an engineer now. So, it wasn't, the bar wasn't that high for the performance in that school. But doing that, and we all kind of just did it for fun. It was like, not necessarily a cupcake course, but it was for fun. We just went and did it for fun. We had to work, we had to sing, we had to dance, we had to learn the songs. But even then, I was like, I kind of get this. I get what's happening here. I understand this language. And when somebody would screw up a line, I'm like, no, it's not how you say that line. It's supposed to be said this way. And the director wouldn't correct it. I'm like, what's going on here? So I still focused on art in college, but I was going to try to make some money, and I was a commercial art major. So it's like, all right, well, that's what I'm going to do, but you have to be really good at the computer, and I was not. So it's like, well, I'll major in drawing. They didn't have a drawing major. They had printmaking, which I don't know if you know anything about printmaking.
Not the same.
You know, you got to ink a stone, and you got to, it's very labor intensive instead of just drawing and saying, hey, I'm finished. So that didn't work out. And at the time I was taking an acting class here and there, and I kind of got the bug at that time. And I was like, all right, well, I just jumped in with both feet and took every acting class I could possibly take in college. Auditioned for everything I could get my hands on, community theater, shows at the university, and I was doing back-to-back shows, and it's like, well, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be an actor now. So, yeah, and then we moved to Houston 20 years later, and I said, well, I'm going to be a part of the Houston theater scene, which is, I think I have some pretty decent theaters, and then I realized that all of my peers had been there for 20 years, and they kind of had their foot in the door already. But then I started doing, student films and indie films, and got an agent and started getting to know casting directors, and that's the long-winded version of what happened.
That was a great version of what happened.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you started out in theater.
Yep.
And what are some of the main differences between acting on the stage versus on a movie or a television set?
Well, the concept as far as being an actor and, having a motivation in the scene and trying to get what you want from the other characters, that's all pretty much the same. But, on stage, there's a lot more freedom. You can use the whole stage, you can use your whole body, but you have to project to that back row. I mean, it's a lot easier in here, but when you have a big theater, that really intimate scene that you're having with your partner, that person in the back row has to get the message as well. So, and what's different and what I've always wanted to pursue in film is you can be really, really intimate. You can be really, really small. The camera's right there and the microphone is right there, and you can talk as low as you want. And, the whole world gets the message. What makes it so difficult is, in TV and film, if you move like 2 inches to the left, it doesn't work. You can have the best performance of your life. And I was like, all right, Dan, that was great. You were out of frame, or you were, the light wasn't right, or you were blocking John Malkovich or whoever. So that's what's really difficult about film and TV is the technical side of it is a lot more difficult to grasp. And I'm still learning every time I step on set, and there's a whole group of new people, a new crew that does things a certain way, and you have to hit your mark. If you don't hit your mark, then it doesn't work. So that's the big difference.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
You mentioned when you were acting in high school, you said that some people wouldn't get their lines correct. It is theater, does that allow you to kind of be more improvisational, or does film and TV, or is it or do they want that at all? Yeah, I mean, and you can be improvisational in film. You try whatever you want. It's like it's either we're going to work or it's not going to work, and which I've done that. It's like, I don't like this line. I'm going to say it like this, and sometimes they say, the script supervisor was like, it's though, not, it's like it's and, not and. They get very, very specific sometimes, but with theater, you're on your own. Right.
And you can try whatever you want, and sometimes it works, sometimes it's not, and sometimes your scene partner will forget their line, and you have to keep going. You have to get them back somehow, and that was the thing that I depended on. I learned my lines backwards and forwards because I was so terrified of being held out in the open on stage, and when I started doing theater, a lot of my fellow actors had been doing it for 10 or 15 years already. So they already had these resumes. So I was like, well, I have to do whatever I can do to catch up or to kind of match their skill level. And that's the only thing I could do was just learn the script backwards and forwards. So yeah, there's a lot more freedom. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you can play on set as well. You can try stuff. It's fun. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who get into acting think it's LA and Hollywood or bust, right? This is the place to be in order to be a working actor. But you've kind of bucked this myth of Hollywood by having a lot of success here in Texas. How are you able to build a successful career outside of Hollywood?
Well, big part of it is just luck and being, in this time and place, being in the Southeast, where things are very remote. I can audition from home for anything. I can just send tapes. You don't have to travel for auditions quite as much. It also helps that I have this look. I'm not super good looking, not bad. So I can play, all these different characters. I can play good cops, I can play bad cops, I can play politicians. I have a very versatile look. Not everybody has that. If you're just, really, really, really good looking, then you're going to be cast as the really, really good looking guy or girl. So it helps that I early on I was, like the guy next door. And then as I got older, I started getting more creepy, creepy roles. I didn't get creepy, but the roles got creepier. And I think just the industry in the Southeast with Louisiana really coming on, Austin, Dallas, New Mexico, and Atlanta has really, really taken off and been really consistent with the industry there. So, sometimes you're going to have to go for a callback. You're going to have to fly to Atlanta for, to spend 5 minutes in a room and either book it or not, So that's tough sometimes. But yeah, you can do it from anywhere now. Every time I have a friend, I'm working with a friend from LA, after they spend some time with me, it's like, what are you doing here? It's like, you should be in LA. You need to be in LA. And I'm like, I have a lot of friends in LA and they're miserable. It's like, I don't, I'm talking to you right now. You sound miserable. You hate LA. Why do I want to go there? And there is something to be said that, they kind of get the bigger roles. Sometimes we do get the crumbs here. We get the smaller, once they cast these, they're going to give us some of the smaller roles. But so it takes a little bit longer to kind of build up that resume and to kind of break into those, those upper echelon roles. But yeah, there's nothing really stopping us at this point.
Excellent, yeah. Well, actually, what you mentioned about sometimes you have to go out to California, come back, you're a family man, you have two kids, both here in college at TAMU. Woo.
Really?
Yeah. And your wife works in the oil and gas industry in Houston.
Yeah.
So how have you been able to maintain that work-life balance and still have such a successful career?
Yeah, early on, it's a lot easier now that they're somewhat self-sufficient. They can, do their own thing. We got the dog at home, which complicates things sometimes. But early on, it was tough because I was with the kids during the day. My wife worked during the day. I would work at night. She was making decent money. I was making very little money. I just kind of was working anywhere I could to make a little money, and that had flexibility to where I could say, oh, I can't come in tomorrow. I got to go to Austin for an audition or, something like that. And so sometimes, a lot of times, I would have to take them to auditions with me. I had the baby carrier, with me sometimes. My daughter was afraid of elevators, which was a problem sometimes, if that was the only way we could get into the second floor of the building for my audition. So we'd just have to hold her tight and go up that elevator. So that was complicate things. But I also had to pass on some opportunities. If my wife was out of town for work, and I was with the kids and I had an opportunity, I said, yep, I got to pass this time. So it's you got to realize what's important, keep things in perspective, and in the long run, it all works out, and it's worked out for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, absolutely. Your resume is great. So, and this is, I think, especially this next question will be great for the students. When there's conflict on a production, have you found a way to diffuse it and or found techniques that allow you to work with intense personalities?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a people pleaser to a fault, you know. So my whole goal on set is to, you know, not be the squeaky wheel, not be the broken spoke, not rock the boat. How many cliches can I fit into this? I want to keep my head down. I want to do my job, and on a really big budget movie, you know, it's like there are a lot of egos, a lot of people that do kind of rock the boat a little bit because they want to. It's their name on the marquee, basically. So,
Right.
but you know, I try to do my job as best I can, and I mean, treating people with kindness and respect. I mean that kind of trumps everything, you know. So, but that being said, as a lower on the call sheet person, that you still kind of have to stand up for yourself, you know, which can be really difficult when you have all these big personalities. You know, I did a movie, Deepwater Horizon, and you know, it's Mark Wahlberg, Kurt Russell, John Malkovich, big personalities, and you know, I was the drill ship captain in the movie. And a lot of these things were happening, all this disaster, all these people that needed help. And I wasn't really given much to do as far as solving all that. You know what I mean? I was a big problem. I was a problem in the movie. My character was, that is. But, you know, all these things were happening, and and Peter Berg was the director, which he is a super intense guy. And I finally just said, you know, I'm the captain of the ship. Like, shouldn't I be doing some of this stuff?
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, well, and Kurt's up on the balcony. He's like, well, I just thought you were an idiot. Like, your character's just an idiot. I'm like, well, I am the drill ship captain. I mean, it's like some of this stuff, I'm not just going to hide in the corner, you know?
Right.
And that took a lot of courage for me to just in front of everybody say, like, you know, something's not right. They did give most of the really important, cool jobs to the stars of the movie,
Yeah.
which is understandable. But Pete did come up to me afterwards and was like, hey, I understand where you're coming from, and that's a good point. But this, you know, we're going to give them, like, but, and he was kind of apologetic, you know,
Yeah.
so I was very appreciative of that. So yeah, I've been guilty of biting my tongue and not speaking up when I should. And that's with every job. You know, you have to be able to, whether you're just starting a job, whether you're an intern, you know, you have something special to offer that work environment. And I think in the long run, you know, it may not work out in that particular situation, but they're going to respect you long term. So I would encourage y'all to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, speak up for yourself, always kindly, but
Yeah.
yeah. So what is your research process like for roles?
You know, it's not, some are a lot more complicated than others.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, everything you have is in the scene
Okay.
that you're shooting. Like for Sinners, you know, what's happening in the scene is the most important thing. I mean, there is some backstory of what my character went through, what my character is guilty of, and what he, you know, kind of put other people through. But what's happening here and now and what happened right before
Okay.
is the most important thing. You know, I took a lot of classes throughout college and just recently. And I took some bad classes, I took some good classes, and I've had, you know, different coaches tell me, like, you have to, it doesn't matter how small the role is. Your character, you should know them inside and out. You should know what they had for breakfast. You should know, I'm like, so that's how I, you know, move forward. And that was a mistake. You know, driving all the way to Austin for an audition, and then I get in there and I'm like, well, what is the character doing? And the director's like, he's just there doing his job, man. It's not that deep. I'm like, oh, okay, gotcha. So sometimes you do have to do that research. Sometimes there are important, you know, there's important history to that character. And mine, but I don't go too deep. I think what's happening in the scene, being in the moment, is the most important thing. and and interacting with your scene partners, and working with them and making each other better. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by a role? And if so, what are some of the techniques that you use to overcome nerves?
I don't know if I've ever been overwhelmed by a role. I've been overwhelmed more times than I can count on set or in an audition process. I've dealt with anxiety my whole life, so and with kind of imposter syndrome,
Yep.
just showing up to a set and half of me thinking like, wow, this is so cool, and also thinking, I do not belong here. They're going to figure out I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and it's only a matter of time. So getting over that is really difficult. I listened to a podcast on the way here, which kind of made me think of that. Diary of a CEO. Anybody?
No, but I need to.
It's a really good podcast.
listen to it now.
The name is a little bit misleading, but Stephen Bartlett is the host, and he talks to people from all different lines of work and influencers, but the person that he had on was talking about like, well, she's like, well, on the way to this interview, I was nervous, so it's like, what if I die tomorrow? It's like, what if like that puts everything into perspective? And I was already doing that. Like every time I go into a really stressful situation, it's like tomorrow's not promised. Like, what if this is the last thing I do? Like, would I be nervous? Would I feel overwhelmed? Or would I just be in the moment and just, express whatever gifts I have in this moment, with love for the person that I'm working with. And that is what I try to take into every audition, to every set. I feel like all of us, we've been given certain qualities, certain gifts, and our job is to just express that the best way we know how. And I've done that. I can walk outside and get hit by a bus after this.
No, you can't.
I'm not gonna.
You're not allowed.
But it just puts things in perspective. You know what I
Right.
mean? Tomorrow's not promised. Relax, have fun,
Yeah.
and do your best.
Yeah, that is a
Yeah.
great, words to live by.
There aren't any
absolutely.
buses around here, right?
No, yes.
So many buses driven by students.
Awesome.
Oh, see, now
Awesome.
you made me more nervous. Sorry, guys. All right, what do you look for when looking at new potential roles? Like, do you turn many down, or do you give most an opportunity?
Well, at this point, I am a member of SAG, so that kind of weeds out, like I can't do anything that's not SAG. So
Right.
if I have a peer or somebody I worked with before that says, hey, we got this film, I want you to be part of it. I was like, well, is it SAG?
Right.
And they're like, no. I'm like, well, I can't do it. So that helps.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I mean, are they paying for travel? Like I just shot in Kansas. And if they would have came to me for this role and said, yeah, we want you to do this role, it pays this much, but we're not paying for travel. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
So, and a lot of people starting out, and I did as well, we did just anything we could get our hands on. It's like, well, if I wouldn't have worked as a local in wherever, I never would have worked for that person. It's like, yeah, but you still have to know your worth.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna. I have a couple times just broke even on a job. Fifth Wave was one of those. It was like, hey, you booked Fifth Wave. It works for a couple days, but they're not paying for travel. I'm like, okay. Well, at that point, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. Mm-hmm. But now I have every level. Every time you level up, you have to kind of make those stipulations and say, like, this is what I'm worth. This is, what I'm going to do. And I mean, mainly it comes down to is the material good?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this script is really good. This role is really good. Who's working on it? Like, this guy's directing, this guy's working on it. It's like, okay, who are these people? It's like, wow, he's done this and this and this. If it's not going to come out good in the end, I'm like, well, why do it? So that's the main thing. I look, is the material good? The last thing I worked on it's a film called Hot American Rain. I only worked a couple days on it, but it was Breaking Bad meets Stand By Me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
okay.
it's like, you got me interested. And so I was like, that's a really cool concept. And they had like a sizzle reel that they had already shot, and the script was good. I was like, they're paying this? Okay. They're flying me out there? Good deal. So yeah, those are the kind of the aspects that I look at. But it all, is it going to be worth my time? Is it going to create something worthwhile at the end? That's the main thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And when you level up, this is for the students when they get out there acting, do you have your agent negotiate those
Yes.
things? Okay.
Yeah, they negotiate everything, which is really, really nice because I'm terrible at that. Like I can say like, you're paying this much, that's not enough. Like I'm not going to do it. But there are so many other aspects of it. You know, it's like if you've ever been in a honey wagon as opposed to a double banger or a triple banger. Those are the trailers.
Oh, yeah.
That I'm saying. And like, people are always talking about like, oh, it's like, how big is my trailer? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, if you've ever spent, 8 hours in a honey wagon, which is like the size of a closet, then you kind of know how important it is to have at least a triple banger, which is 3 trailers lined up.
Okay.
I've had a couple of double bangers, which is like, but it's you can stretch out, you can rest, you can take a nap in a honey wagon. It's like, it's really, really uncomfortable. So at this point, I'm not doing honey wagon. So it's not gonna happen. It's like, level me up, man. I gotta have that double banger or something, or a triple banger. But sometimes they don't even have trailers. That's like this movie in Kansas didn't have one.
Yeah.
So we just all sat together in a communal area, which is, I'm fine with that too. So, what was the question?
I think it was I think we're back here. Yes. What do you, do you turn down? Yeah.
But it was for the students.
That's right. It was for the students. It was like who negotiates for
Oh,
you.
right, yeah.
Yeah, that's
so,
what it was.
yeah, that's part of the negotiation.
See, we both forgot, y'all.
yeah.
Look at us.
So it was bound to happen sooner or later. But yeah, and they negotiate price and sometimes negotiate you right out of a job sometimes,
Wow.
they're like, but to their credit, they always come to me. It's like, hey, they're asking for this and this and this.
Gotcha.
Are you cool with that? I'm like, yeah, or no. So yeah, they negotiate all that stuff. And if, my wife helps with that. she's a little more straight edge and hard-nosed about that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, they're asking for this and they want me to do that. She's like, no, you're not doing that. I'm like,
Is she business or engineering or?
yeah, engineering.
Engineering.
Yes.
Yeah, my sister works in gas in Houston too. And even though she's a lawyer, that was her undergrad, was engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those engineers, man.
Yeah.
They're really good at planning.
That's true.
Yes. So Sinners has given you a lot of publicity of late. How have you navigated all of that attention?
Well, I don't get recognized all that much. It does help that I look nothing like I did in the movie. I wear glasses and I wear a hat a lot. I have facial hair. Lost about 20 pounds since then. My wife saw the movie and she was like, "Did they put padding on you?" And I was like, "No, I was just fat. I was fat. I was in Louisiana and I was eating every day.
Delicious food.
So yeah, I mean, it's weird because when you're filming something, I'm just like trying to hold it together and trying to do a good job and not, and so you don't really know how it's going to turn out. You have kind of an idea, but I went to the premiere in New York, and it took me quite a bit of effort to get on the red carpet and all that stuff. They didn't know who I was. I went to the red carpet security, which is like massive guys with earpieces, and I went up to I was like, hey, I think I'm supposed to be on the red carpet. And they're like, oh, you're inside. You got to go inside. And I'm like, okay. And I did that 2 or 3 times. Yeah. Finally, I went up to somebody. I was like, hey, it's like, I'm in the movie. I'm supposed to be. It's like, will you have any credentials? And I was like, I pulled up the IMDb. I'm like, well, that's me.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. Come on in. And thankfully, they had my name, which I should have given them my name. Like,
right.
I didn't do that. I was just like, hey, I'm that guy in the movie. But yeah, I've had more opportunities with people reaching out, wanting. I've done a lot of podcasts, which I need to practice. I need to, do more of those. But it's just, a lot of people reaching out and doing all these podcasts and TV interviews, things like that. But a couple of people recognized me at the gym. A lot of people just looking at me, which is kind of off-putting sometimes, especially when it's a guy just kind of, I'm like, what's up, man? Why are you eyeballing me? But, and then they'll come up like, hey, were you that guy in that thing? Which is a great documentary, by the way, not to segue or tangent. There's a movie called The Guy That Was in That Thing.
Oh.
And it's a documentary about all these actors that are that you recognize, but you don't know their name.
Gotcha.
Fascinating.
What's it playing on?
Gosh, now I'm not sure.
I'll look it up.
It's probably hopped from streamer to streamer. And after they did that one, like a year or 2 later, they did The Gal That Was in That Thing. Oh. So there's a whole movie all about the women in film and TV that, I don't know, that girl that was in that thing.
Great character actors, yeah.
So yeah, I hope to be one of those people one day. But yeah, it's, hopefully things are happening that there's, the wheels are turning behind the scenes that are like, oh, we got to get this guy in our movie. And hopefully my agent is negotiating all that.
Fingers crossed.
So yeah, it actually got really slow right after the premiere. But back to the premiere, mm-hmm. I sat in the theater with everybody else in the theater, and Chris Rock passed in front of me to go to his seat, and I'm like, oh, is this Chris Rock? I was like, yeah, sir, right there. So we sat, and the movie started, and the music is incredible. If you haven't seen the movie, and the soundtrack is amazing. And I was just started bobbing my head right at the beginning of the movie, and once it was finished, mm-hmm. I was like, wow. I was like, this is completely non-biased reaction. That was like something really, really special that I don't think has ever been, like, it's never been done in that way. Like I was really, really blown away, and I think everybody in theater was. And then went to the after party, saw Josh Allen and Haley Steinfeld over there, and that was really cool. But got to go and talk to Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, and just talk to them and share with them. We just kind of looked at each other like, man. He's like, I know, right? It's like this. This is something special. All the different genres mixed together. Like nobody's ever done that. The music, all these different themes. It was just a really, really bold, brave effort, and I think it really turned well, and I'm really proud of it.
It gave me chills watching that one particular scene. It's just the camera just keeps going around. You see everybody's kind of ancestors and in the future and all the different. It's so good, and I think film studies courses are going to be talking about it forever. It is very special. Absolutely.
I agree.
Well, with that, I know we have to wrap up soon, but what has been your favorite role or character that you portrayed in your career and why?
You know, for a long time, I was doing big roles in small movies, or you know, excuse me, and big roles in small movies, small roles in big movies. That was kind of the, my direction. And when I did Deepwater Horizon, that was my first time doing a big role in a big movie. So that was, and that was overwhelming. I got to be honest with you. Showing up to that set with Peter Berg, he's really cool, but he's super intimidating. He's super intense. So once I got over that, and with all the improv, that's a lot of improv on that set.
Oh,
Peter Berg
okay.
is super, like when you watch Friday Night Lights and the camera's always moving around, and there's a lot of improvisational things that are happening. Once I kind of, settled down on that set, and I don't know if I can say this, he said, because I was having trouble with the role. I was like, well, should it be? He wasn't getting what he wanted, so he said, Dave, can you do Kunas? I was like, yeah, that's a Cajun. that's and I was like, yeah, I can do that. He's like, all right, yeah, just do that. I'm like, okay. It's like the character's not Cajun, but there were plenty of Cajuns in the movie.
Right.
Malkovich, trying desperately to be Cajun. Still John Malkovich. But once I kind of got in that groove, I was like, oh, okay. Everything kind of gets easier when you're delivering your lines as a Cajun. And so, we like wrote a scene like on the spot. Because Pete would always come in and say like, hey, we're going to do this scene instead of that one. And Kurt, being like the icon of film professional, he was like, that's not what I prepared for, Pete. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'll do whatever you want. Like, we can do a scene from another movie. I don't care. But we just wrote like, what would happen in this situation? Let's just write it out, and we made up a scene. Me, Kurt Russell, and Peter Berg, and we shot it. And Pete was like, hey, man, we just made up a scene. I was like, yeah, that's pretty freaking cool,
That is really cool.
And he, he's like, all right, we're gonna do. You're getting off the rig. Give me a monologue. What are you gonna do? What do you do when you get off the boat? I'm like, well, it's like, hey, man, I'm giving you a monologue. Let's go. What are you gonna do? I'm like, all right. I just came up with something, and I did this goofy little boxing thing, and it made it into the movie. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. So, when I get to do stuff like that, and kind of because it was really a sink or swim. Pete's kind of like a coach, so he's like, we're gonna do this, and I need you to bring your A game, and I need you to do this for me. I was like, okay. And to succeed in that, and to have him be proud of you, is pretty amazing. So that's definitely one of them. I did do Tuesdays with Maury when I was in college, the stage version. I think Hank Azaria played the role. Jack Lemmon and Hank Azaria did the movie version, but a two-person show, just the two of us on stage the whole time, and talk about depending on your partner, which I had to do. I had to, kind of feed him his line. It's like, so, but that was amazing, and I had people coming up to me after the show, and I was like, man, this is amazing. Like, people tell you that a play changed their life when they saw it, and you were in that play. That's pretty
special.
amazing.
Yeah, that's really special. Well, last question. What would be one piece of advice that you give your younger self?
And that's the one that I could not.
Young Dave.
I could not. I can tell all these people, but I have a hard time telling myself for some reason.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, ship has sailed, man. Like it's but.
You ran into young Dave on the street.
Yeah.
He just showed up.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing I would say is like, dude, what are you doing? Stop it. You're being an idiot. Stop doing that. Whatever you're doing, stop doing it. But I mean, that's all stuff that I had to go through,
Yeah.
we all make mistakes and learn, you know. So you know, and like I said, I was just a nervous kid, nervous adult. You know, just I definitely was guilty of sweating the small stuff a lot. So I would just, you know, tell him like, hey man, that's not that big a deal. In 10 years, it's not gonna matter. Like I used to tell my kids, this thing that happened, it's a drop in the bucket. It's not gonna matter in 10 years. So just move on and try to do better the next time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would have liked to have heard that when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually really great advice. I would have liked to have heard that too. Well, Dave, I want to thank you for being here with us at Texas A&M. This was absolutely wonderful. Do any of you have questions? Okay.
How do you approach stunt work when you have to do stunt work for movies?
Well, thankfully I don't much. And they are very cognizant of, you know, they don't want actors to get hurt. So there's always somebody that's going to step in and do whatever needs to be done. Now, early on, they expected me when I was younger. Now, in Sinners, I did, you know, all that adrenaline is pumping, and you're like, yeah, man, I'll do whatever you need me to do. And I have to get shot and fall and crawl on the ground and do all this stuff. And that was only a year ago, and I'm like, how did I do that? Like, geez. But yeah, I mean, but that being said, like when you're younger, you know, you feel like you can do anything. You're bulletproof. You know, your young body can take all these things. But like I said, there's always somebody on set. There should be stunt supervisors and all that are. That's their job to make sure the actors don't get hurt. There's somebody that's their job to get hurt. Like it's to take those risks. So I would say definitely don't do anything that you're uncomfortable with. Even though I just did it in Sinners, crawl on the ground. But yeah, so and you know sometimes there's really people get hurt. You know, there's a lot of dangerous things that happen in film and TV, and you really have to. That's another reason to stand up for yourself and say, look, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And more times than not, the director, the AD, is going to say, okay, we got this guy who's here just for that. This is the only reason he's here, or her, is to do that thing that you don't feel comfortable doing, and they spent their whole life learning it. So, yeah, and that's if it's a well-run production, and if not, then you definitely got to stand up for yourself and tell them this is not going to happen.
Yeah, Harrison Ford has all fake teeth because he did a stunt when he was young and he lost all his teeth. And I don't think he was supposed to be a stunt person.
Yeah.
Question.
Say thank you so much for being here today, sharing your advice and experience. But my question for you is, have you ever been starstruck, and if so, by who?
I'm starstruck for about 10 seconds every time I walk on set. Gosh, Tom Hanks was up there. But that what was so cool about that is I was sitting there as a movie called Greyhound, and I was the ship's doctor, and I'm sitting there and I had to sew this guy up who had a gash on his eye, so I had to learn how to sew up 1940s style sewing somebody up, and he came up to me, went out of his way to kind of lean into me. It's like, hey, I'm Tom. It's really nice to meet you, and that just all the starstruckness goes away, and it's like, wow, I can be comfortable. And that's why he did it. I mean, he did it to be a good human, but it's also like, I am, the star on the set. I'm gonna make everybody feel comfortable, and that will make the whole thing run more smooth, and we'll get a better product in the end. I did do a movie, or my wife and I went to New York and saw The Pillow Man. Great play. Michael Stuhlbarg was in it. He's another character actor that if you saw him, it's like, oh, he's that guy in that thing. He's in so many things. Brilliant guy. And I was going to work with him on a movie called Trumbo, and I was like in the costume. I was like, how is that guy? Is he cool? And they were like, oh man, he's kind of like, you really have to be careful with this, and you have to be. I think they were messing with me.
Yeah.
They were trying to, get me nervous to meet him. And I was in the makeup trailer, and he came up to me and was like, I mean, he's such a sweet guy. And he came up to me and he was like, it's so good to meet you. And I got to work with him again on Your Honor. But he's just a lovely dude. And I got to tell him, like, oh man, I saw you on Broadway like 10 years ago, and I'm working with you. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, starstruck. Not anymore. I mean, I think when McConaughey the first time,
Yeah.
he's a super intense dude as well, but so laid back. Do we have time just for?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
When I did True Detective, I was super nervous. I had just gotten an agent in Louisiana. This was my first job, and I was playing, just a couple of days as a detective on this show, and I was getting ready to go to set to rehearse with McConaughey and Woody Harrelson. So I'm super nervous. It's raining. The wardrobe people come and bring me a raincoat. It's like, okay, we're gonna go to set and rehearse. So I walk out of the trailer and I have my hood on. I'm following the PA, and I ran right into the air conditioner.
Oh.
So my first thought is, oh no, it wasn't that. It hurt or any of that. It's like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a big welt right there, and I'm gonna halt the production.
Yeah.
So I went up to PA. I was like, should I go see it? I just hit my head. Like, yeah. So I go to the makeup, and they're like, okay. They put this cream on it that you can't get it in the States.
Oh.
It was like this stuff. They have the stuff they have.
What
It's like
does it do?
you can't get it. It stops the swelling, makes the swelling go down.
What? I need that.
And then they gave me some ice, and so I had my ice, and I went to rehearsal with ice on my head.
Yeah.
And McConaughey is just like goofing off, and he's like, "Hey, what'd you do?" I was like, "Oh man, I was a walk, and I told him what happened, and I hit my head on the air conditioner." He's like, "What? You did that to yourself?" I thought you did that in a scene. He's like, so tell me what happened. I was like, so I was walking out of the trailer, and I was coming around the corner. It was raining, and it's like, no. Tell me what happened. And I said, oh, well, I was coming here, and this guy jumped out from the alley, and he had a pipe, and he's like, yeah. Stick with that story. But yeah, he went from being this to when you start shooting. Like I don't know if you saw Wolf of Wall Street when he does this thing. He does that on set. Like,
Oh wow.
he's getting into this. Woody's the complete opposite. Woody's like, look at this guy. What is he doing? He's doing push-ups. Like, what are you? But yeah, so super intense while we're shooting. So that's like, yeah. But yeah, like I said, I get starstruck for about 10 seconds, and then I'm like, he's just a person. You belong there. Nobody's gonna find out that you don't know what you're doing. It's like, so, yeah. Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Are you going to be doing any stage work?
Man, I would really love to, and I've had a couple of people reach out in Houston saying, hey, we're doing this show. I was like, man, I would really love to, but I can't deviate from once film and TV kind of became the direction, and there's such a small margin of error. Right. It's like you don't get many opportunities. So once you get them, you have to kind of like really stay the course. I've always said that if like the Alley in Houston was doing a show and they had this guy, it was this play and this guy was in it and this guy was in it, and they're like, hey, we want you to come audition for this show with this guy. I'm like, okay. Like if it was like Death of a Salesman or something like that, or The Pillow Man. or something like that. I would consider that, but yeah, I don't see it happening anytime soon.
I don't know. You said it. We might manifest it now.
Manifest that.
There we go.
It's in the air now.
It is in the air now. Do you have any more questions? Yes.
What was the process like for getting an agent? Did they find you, or did you seek it out?
No, I sought them out. When I was doing like theater, community theater and stuff in Lafayette, Louisiana, we would, a couple of people in the cast were like, man, you should get an agent. I was like, well, you can't just go get an agent. I was like, they're like, no, yeah, you can, just go get one. I was like, oh, okay. So I had one in Lafayette that we did mainly commercial stuff. But yeah, when I got to Houston, I just kind of researched who the agents were, what their roster looked like. Are there a lot of people that look like me? Are they like a SAG franchise, reputable agency? And I kind of did some research ahead of time and decided that that's probably the best fit for me. And I set up a meeting and I went and talked to him. So yeah, it's. I think a lot of people drag their feet with that kind of thing. And I've heard people give advice that, yeah, you should drag your feet. Just don't go get an agent. I'm like, why? It's like, just go get one. Like, if they're not right for you or you're not ready, then go get another one. Or you'll learn through that experience, and you'll book a commercial or you'll get some some film auditions here and there, and that's all part of the learning experience. So I've been with Pastor Renee Bosby in Houston for 20 years, and I'm with Landrum in Louisiana, and yeah, it's not as complicated a process, I think, as a lot of people make it out to be. Because it takes courage to say, hey, I want to set up a meeting, go in there, talk to them, decide whether or not you have a good vibe, if the relationship is going to work, because it goes both ways. So, yeah, does that answer your question?
When you do your initial research of agents, are you looking for people who have like a variety of different types of clients, or do you want someone who has maybe similar kind of look and feel to you clients?
Yeah, the more people that have a similar look and feel to you, they're going to be the ones that are booking instead of you. So,
right.
But that's not always the case. Sometimes, I think the main thing is, sometimes because they're small boutique agencies, they don't have a big roster, and they're kind of up and coming. And you have really, really established agencies that have a huge roster. Mm-hmm. So I think the most important thing is like meeting with them. What kind of feeling did they give you? Do you vibe with them? Right. And if not, then you might go to the smaller agencies. Like, wow, this relationship was. I felt something here. It's like I identify with your, what you're throwing out there, and I think this will work out. And it might work out in the long run. So I think it's more about relationships and whether or not they're going to work out.
Yeah. And if they ever ask you for money, they are not an agent.
Right.
Do not give them money and take their classes. You don't have to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
What she said.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay, so my question is, from past to present, how difficult was it to stay consistent and adapt to certain roles in movies?
Past to present, how difficult was it to adapt to different roles? Yeah, I think a lot of us, there are certain things we can't do. And I think early on, I think that's something you have to learn. You want to do everything. Like, oh, I can do that, I can do that, I can do this, I can sing, I can, And there's certain things that you have to kind of know your wheelhouse, your type. Mine is, I play cops. I play a lot of cops. Never was in law enforcement, but I guess I just look like a cop, So, but you really have to learn so I've kind of been typecast in the past 10 or 15 years, which I'm fine with. But yeah, I mean, there's always going to be an opportunity to kind of stretch, and it mainly comes with auditions because, like, I had to read for a drag queen, and I had the audition was perform a song, some song that you think is an anthem, like a gay anthem. I was like, okay, this is going to stretch me, and I did a Queen song. I can't remember what it was. Crazy Little Thing Called Love, I think. And I just let it all hang out. I was like, there's no way I'm booking this. But I would like them to see, what I'm capable of, and like, it wasn't quite right for that, but, the cop or whatever. Yeah, I mean, as far as adapting, I think it's important to. A lot of my friends will say, "Oh, I'm not reading for that because I'm turning that audition down because I can't do a Polish accent." I was like, well, fake it, it's like I very, very rarely turn anything down. It's like there's no way I'm booking this. I'm going to give it my best shot, and because they're always considering you for something else. It's like, even especially for a TV show. Like if you're auditioning for season 1 of a show, and they're like, well, I'm not reading for that. There's no way I can do a drag queen. It's like, I'm still going to read for it because maybe season 2, season 3, or if the role's too small, they're like, I'm not reading for that. The role's too small. I'm like, I read for Queen Sugar. I think it was only supposed to work a day or 2. Worked out great. We had a really good rapport and it turned out to be, like 10 episodes. So a few seasons. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers the question or not, but yeah, I think as far as adapting, just always be working on something. Just always be kind of building that special skills section. Whether it's you play tennis, go play tennis. You get really good at tennis. Put that on your resume. I started doing yoga. I hate yoga. But maybe I can get that role in the guy that hates yoga in that show, or something like that.
Mobility is important.
Yes, it is. So yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anyone else?
I think some of the best advice I got was a lady named Jane Pretty when I was living in the DC area, and she said, Mayette, it's an automatic no if you don't ask.
Yeah.
And it's probably the best advice I've ever gotten.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly. Yeah. So you might as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions? You guys have great questions. No? All right. Well. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Sinners shot on film and partially on IMAX, yes?
Yes.
I assume when you started your career, everything was on film. Now almost everything is on digital.
Right. With
With Sinners, you go back to film. Does that change your performance? Does it change the mood on set in any way?
It didn't change my performance at all. I don't. You really focus on what's happening. I trust all those amazing artists that are taking care of all that. There is a little bit of urgency with film. I did a movie called The Banker, which was also shot on film, and when they're stopping and they're taking this film out and they're putting it into a box and they're changing the film, and you're like, oh geez, and then I go home and they call and they say, hey, we screwed something up, we have to go film all that again. And I went back to Atlanta and filmed everything, which was kind of cool. I got to go and work with all those people again. But yeah, there's a little bit of urgency to that. If I don't know if you'll ever get a chance to see Sinners in IMAX in a theater, but
Oh, we wanted to so bad, but they were only showing it like during the day, during weekday.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I have to work.
Yeah.
I know, right?
It was, the finished product was definitely something special. Something, I mean, it's like meant to be seen on IMAX. And I'm like, wow, yeah, it was. So yeah, I all those amazing people, I trust them to. I just kind of hit my mark and try not to get hurt. Thank you.
Any other questions? I love film related questions. We
Yeah.
were talking about that. But by the way, guys, Ryan Coogler's got a whole thing on Kodak. He did a talk with Kodak. He gets into the minutia, the 70 millimeter.
Yeah.
So you can watch that on YouTube if you're interested in getting into the nitty gritty of behind the scenes of film.
Yeah. That was, if I could just gush about those two guys. Ryan, a lot of people like working with different types, like, well, what kind of director do you like? I'm like, I like a director that takes me out of my head and makes me feel comfortable and that I belong there. And he just did that from the beginning. Just super, if you ever seen interviews with him, he's just, super chill. He's like, hey, we're going to do this, man. Like, how about you do this? And, when I tell him I got an idea for this, and he's just like, yeah, it was just, that was the atmosphere. And he just put me at ease. And Michael B. Jordan, as talented and prolific and handsome as he is like such an upstanding human, man. Because all of the complicated shots in that movie, he's playing twins in Louisiana heat, a lot of pressure.
3-piece suits?
3-piece suits. He would have to do the scene, go change, come back, change his character, do the other side. He was amazing as a fellow man the entire time, and I won't stop telling people that because it so impressed me, because he was cool in between shots, just kind of laughing and joking, and never got bent out of shape about anything. Things go wrong. Yeah. And it's all on him. So the movie doesn't do well. And the only time I ever saw him get impatient or kind of, was with himself. Like he would screw up a line. He's like, oh man, but other than that, he was humble, and just a genuinely kind man. And it's amazing.
Makes a big difference
Yeah.
on set.
It's not always the case, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to have that collaborative, positive environment. But
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah, here we go.
So you just described what it was like working with Michael B. Jordan. I was curious on if you haven't had any interactions with him, but what was it like with Chris Pratt?
He was cool. Chris Pratt was cool. So when I showed up to shoot, and I felt kind of I wasn't part of the group because I was kind of like this guy in a suit who was like in an office, and I'm like, a government official, and there's all the other people who are like, fighting the aliens. So I'm like, and I'm riding in the van to set with all these people, and they went to like Iceland to shoot. And I think Colombia or somewhere, but I didn't get to go on any of those trips because I'm on a set.
Yeah.
It was a great role. It was really cool, but I met him and he hugged me. I'm like,
Aw.
he's just. Have you seen any interviews with him? He's just really genuine, really kind guy, and he was. And I had a lot of dialogue with him and a lot of complicated dialogue with a lot of tech. I'm sitting there walking. It's a walk and talk. The walk and talk is we're walking through this Air Force base, and I'm saying this is happening. Buenos Aires and this and that, and so we had to deliver these last few lines, and he's like, all right, so run it with me, and I'm running it with him. He's like, all right, let's do it again, and he's drilling me. So that I can get it right. It's like, let's do it again. And he's really encouraging. So yeah, he was cool. And just a lot of stars, they'll sit off to the side. They're like, okay, all the regular people chairs and the stars over there. And he was sitting right next to me. Just like, oh, it's Chris Pratt. That's cool. So, yeah. Real cool.
I've heard nothing but good things about him.
Yeah. And funny. Golly. Funny guy.
Could you keep a straight face during, like, was he funny during actual, like, shots, or was it just in between?
Actually, his stuff was fairly straight.
Okay, yeah.
The other guy, I can't remember his name. There's a black guy that was kind of his sidekick, and he's a comedian. He's a comedic actor. And when I went to audition for it, I'm like reading for the role, and what I like to do is like, hey, can I kind of just give you my interpretation of what's happening in the scene and what I think's happening and do it my way a little bit? And they're always like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And that kind of relaxes me, and I can kind of just play with the dialogue. And I did that, and they're like, yeah, that was great. He's like, just let you know, this movie, it's not like Super Troopers, or not Super Troopers, the other alien movie, Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers,
It's like,
yeah.
this is not like Starship Troopers, man. This is like Sicario with aliens. And I was like, oh man, that sounds amazing. That sounds so cool. And it's the guy who directed like the Lego movies, all the Chris Pratt Lego movies. I was like, all right, cool, man, this is. And so I get the role, and I'm reading the script, and I'm like, this is not Sicario with aliens. There's way too much comedy in here. Sicario had no comedy
Whatsoever.
That was just like all dark. I was like,
Just
So.
for you though, that's who you say.
yeah.
Character. That's what this movie.
Yeah.
You're the
much.
serious character.
Yeah. So, if you haven't seen Sicario, and Tomorrow War, go see that.
I have seen that. That was fun. It's fun work. It's a fun movie. Any other questions? Are you wrap up? All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and spending time with us here.
My
I've
pleasure.
greatly enjoyed this. It was a good time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for
having
coming,
me.
everybody.